And welcome to the cast for G2 versus Fnatic. I'm Quickshot, joined by Vedius and Ender for an epic best of 5 between the two winningest organizations in Europe. Thank you very much to the Analyst desk for setting the scene. We're about to jump into picks and bans, so I want to dive straight into priority list. G2 at side selection, they picked blue. Vedius, what are you anticipating for priority picks between these two teams?
Well, I think that when you look at Fnatic, we often look at things like the Kalista ban. I sit there and wonder if what they're going to take away from the bot lane of G2, because I think that G2 is a team that loves to try and play through their bot lane. Once they get, obviously, they play through mid, through the bot lane, make sure they have a strong 2-2 towards the bot side of the map. And I'm curious as to how many bans Fnatic will invest towards this bot side of the map.
And from G2's side of things, how much respect will they show to Selfmade's champion pool? Because last week against Rogue, he brought out the Evelynn, the Karthus, this AP farming, scaling jungle champions. But G2 play a very different style. They play through the early game, they play to try and beat you, and they may say, hey, let's challenge Selfmade to try and throw him off his game.
The thing that I love about best of 5s is we come in with all these assumptions and research based on the regular season and what we've already seen in round 1 of playoffs, and then the adaptation throughout the series. Straight out the gate, Ezreal taken off the tables from G2 towards Fnatic, and obviously being on the blue side, some of those targeted bans, very valuable.
Yeah, and game 1 is always where we're going to see teams come in with something special, something a little bit different here. So we're already seeing G2, they will ban away the Evelynn, and this is something that Rogue learned very early on into their series versus Fnatic. The other AP champions we could see him fall back onto would of course be the Lillia as well as his signature Karthus. But again, those are going to hinge a lot on Nemesis' champion pool and whether or not he's going to bring out those AD mid laners.
Well, we've already seen 2 AD carry bans from Fnatic thrown towards G2. Well, they rounded out with a third one. Of course, Senna and Ashe both still up and available. But perhaps Fnatic is saying, you know what, we're quite happy to take that matchup. It's pretty neutral. And it looks like that they're going to a Dilution ban. Of course, this is also, well, it's not directed towards their own mid laner, but they're showing that respect towards both Caps and Perkz.
Yeah, well, what this is saying is that G2 very likely have been working on some AP jungle picks for Jankos as well. Caps definitely can pull out that Lucian. So Fnatic going to remove that, and I mean, with Lucian being potentially a very high priority champion in this series, that sets the tone for some fast-paced playing through the mid lane as well as the scaling jungle.
I'm excited to see if it goes through, what that'll unlock, because won't be the case now. Now, this is only the 4th time that Perkz has played Senna. Once during the regular season, twice last weekend. He's currently undefeated on the pick. And the Ashe has been locked in. Froskuren was talking about the Analyst desk. Are we going to see the Ashe versus Senna matchup on the wave versus wave? And so far, that seems to be the case, Vedius.
Yeah, it looks like it. I think that from Fnatic's perspective, this is good, largely because I think that when you pair it with a Nautilus, it's very easy to get priority in this 2 versus 2, which stops something that G2 love to do, which is move their bot lane to mid lane. When we think back to their series versus Mad Lions last week, so many resources were put into just getting Caps a slight lead so that he could dominate the game. And by having a strong 2v2 in the bot side of the map, Fnatic already has a way of stopping Mikyx and Perkz from having a hand in Caps' success.
Yeah, it's always going to be that cascade effect of being able to move your champions around. Now, Mikyx going towards the Braum is a much more defensive setup. This is already saying G2 want to play a little bit back in the team fight, so you have the Senna to bolster up the front line. This is now
I don't like it, and I don't like seeing Mikyx on Braum. I think it's a very defensive playstyle. It is cool that we're going to get to see the Lillia come out from Jankos, a bit of AP jungling, some fast-paced mobility stuff, and some interesting team fights. Right now, G2 is just lacking that engage. We need to see some way of starting off the fights towards the top side of the map. Alternatively, G2 could go old school, and they could go for more of a 1-3-1 style, where you have a very defensive 2-man unit of Senna Braum, and then the side laners look to cause threat elsewhere on them.
Hey, I've seen the power of Swirl Seed. That counts as engage, man. No, but more seriously, though, I was anticipating a slightly faster-looking draft from G2, so out the gates, a little bit more scaling, a little bit more farming on their side. Ender, do you think that's fair to call out?
Yeah, no, definitely. When you're going for the Lillia and the Braum, this is not screaming early game playmaking to me. I will remind you, though, in the finals last split against Fnatic, G2 went the full scaling direction. They tried to match Fnatic in that and completely handed it to them. So very much in a similar vein, they saw Fnatic practicing the scaling last week and said, hey, we don't have to beat you with something different. We can just beat you at your own game.
Well, talking about something different, Selfmade's first Hecarim locked in of the summer season will now round out. So junglers and bot lanes already secured for both Fnatic and G2. Solo laners will be coming up in phase 2, and Irelia already finds herself in the ban list, followed up by the Shen. Vedius, what direction do you want to see these teams going now as we're heading towards phase 2 picks?
Well, again, I'm thinking that G2 needs some way of starting off the fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic look to ban away the Ornn. To be honest, I think that it can be a very safe blind, something that Wunder has played in the past, and I think that it would act as a way of allowing G2 to kick off whatever fights that they want, and I think that it would be smart for Fnatic to actually take it away.
Yeah, the other champion I'm looking at, of course, is the Gangplank, which has slipped through picks and bans so far, because right now Fnatic have so many engaged tools. The Hecarim coming straight at you, the Ashe Arrow as well. If you toss a Gangplank into the mix to put that ultimate behind the enemy team, like, you will force G2 in a 5v5, and that could be very difficult against an Ashe and a Hecarim.
Well, one last ban coming up from G2. Let's see if they resonate with the analysis, and then Fnatic will get the option to at least secure one of their picks, either for the mid or the top. Something is going to be needed to be picked for a safe option, and it's going to be that Gangplank, so good call there from Ender.
Yeah, so now Fnatic, we're probably looking at some sort of like strong mage in the mid lane for Nemesis. When you're playing scaling and you see some scaling on the other side, you definitely do tend to edge towards that direction.
Orianna,
you have a lot of frontline
yeah,
protection. The Orianna plus Hecarim is an excellent combination that they could look for.
Yeah, the movement speed boost Orianna can give, I think, synergizes very nicely. I don't think that we've seen a huge amount of Nemesis on Orianna. He did, of course, have that one fantastic turnaround game with Misfits that I remember very specifically, where he got that quadra kill. Definitely something that he has played, and I don't think that it should be too surprising to come out from his side.
He's played a lot of champions throughout the summer split. Orianna's actually one of his most played at 4 games. 2 wins, 2 losses during the regular season. And yesterday we saw high priority on Akali, picked very early in the draft multiple times. And this will now be secured. Can technically flex top, but gonna expect that in Caps' hands.
Yeah, so yesterday we usually saw Orianna come in as an answer into the Akali. Can, nullify that lane matchup pretty well. But that being said, you're usually not like slamming that Akali in the mid lane in that matchup here. But this does seem to look like G2 want to play the map, want to play a little bit more spread out. And I think that if you are able to unlock an Akali and an Gnar, you can try to take over side lanes.
I love seeing Caps on Akali. I think that...
He hasn't even played yet.
I know, but it just... When he played Aurelia last week, I was like, are we going back into that meta? Are we getting back there? And it's going to be really exciting to see.
Oh!
You guys... No.
Bwipo Rengar. Do you know the last time we saw Bwipo on Rengar
yes.
was week 2 of the spring split against SK Gaming, and it was, in fact, a win. Bwipo is 2 wins, 1 loss.
I remember that game. Win is calling it generous, okay?
Not the Nexus. That's what counts.
Look, the thing about Rengar top lane is he likes to trade a lot. So this is a lane that is going to require jungle attention from both sides here. You need to make sure he has wards so he can play aggressively up inside the lane. And then outside the lane phase, Fnatic's dive is so insane, combining a Rengar with a Hecarim. Perkz is going to feel really bad in this game because he does not have really any peel tools except for that Braum.
Oh, it's going to be an intense one. Of course, we're going to talk a lot more about it as we get into game. But it is, of course, the first game of the Kings match between G2 Esports and Fnatic. Let's jump into it.
Now, one thing, Ender, that you mentioned at the end of the draft there was that Rengar top is going to need some jungle attention. I want to see how Selfmade will be playing around his top lane Rengar into Wunder's Gnar, as well as the fact that Selfmade's first appearance on that Hecarim, and immediately Jankos is going to walk directly into his face and place a ward down.
Yeah, this is something we see a whole lot. These two junglers do very similar things. I feel like Lillia and Hecarim both clear through their jungle pretty fast. They're based on move speed, and they do their AoE camps very nicely. So being able to spot out the enemy red buff or raptors at the start of the game is going to give your team a lot of information, especially with the Hecarim. A common path would just be to do your 3 camps on your red buff side of the jungle and then look for an early reset.
Bwipo going to sweep that one out. Interesting that Selfmade going to hold on to his trinket for the time being. Often we'll see junglers invest the early trinket, then go back to base, swap it to the sweeper, similar to what we've seen Jankos now do in this early game. And we'll see how much that influences Bwipo. Not having a ward towards the top side of the map may give Jankos a very clear window, being like, there might not be that much vision up towards the top lane in the early game.
Yeah, and vision, we already said, is going to be important because, of course, to break down this top lane a little bit more, like, in order to maximize the use of Rengar in lane, he constantly wants to be jumping in and out of the brushes, going for aggressive trades. You'll usually see him itemize into a couple of Doran's blades, and then I think when I've been looking at some of Bwipo's itemization, he likes to go for a Blade of the Ruined King for that 1v1 style of top lane. But when you have to play this melee champion who trades so aggressively, not a lot of range tools, has to get in your face. If the enemy jungler shows up and you're going for a minion, you're going for a trade, that can be rough to get out of.
And look at where Wunder's positioning in the lane right now. Notice that he's staying closer towards the river. He also has that ward placed there very early on. But the whole point is to stay away from the brushes, as Ender was alluding to. We're going to be hearing Rengar go rar, rar, rar a lot, because every time he jumps out, he's looking for the engage. He has that empowerment now for his abilities, but for now, Wunder has the stacked wave. He's going to get that push off, so Bwipo is going to go on the defensive.
Exactly, and they're doing this, right? Selfmade wants to path down bot side anyway, so Bwipo is going to play it safe. You'll notice Bwipo's trading pattern is going to depend entirely on the control of the minion wave. Because he has to go into your face for the trades, as soon as Wunder's able to build up a couple of extra ranged minions, that's when Bwipo's gonna hold it off and not actually go for the trades, and instead allow Wunder to push him in rather than take aggressive, chunks of HP against him.
Talking about aggressive chunks of HP, we saw Caps diving in very briefly there onto Nemesis. And as you may or may not know, we are playing under a delay, so while Mickey may have disconnected on screen, he is still in the game. There's no need to worry about that. And Jankos immediately going to move in towards the river. Already cleared out large portions of his jungle, and I'm very interested to see how both of these two jungle champions will be interacting with one another. Definitely raising a priority throughout the playoffs patch.
Yeah, so typically when we see these two junglers, it is going to come down to farming a whole lot. A lot of the action will be driven by actually roaming support. So when I look at a Braum versus a Nautilus, I would expect Fnatic to be a little bit more active in the early game, playing around resets with the bottom lane, then pairing up with Selfmade to get stuff done around the map. I was wondering for a second there, Jankos had the option to walk into the enemy Raptor camp. Both junglers were starting around that area, but getting that second spawn, that leveled up level 3, level 4 Raptors is going to be a big boon, and Jankos is not going to let Selfmade come in and take that away.
No, he certainly is not. Also want to draw attention to the two mid laners. You can see that Caps is accruing a bit of a CS advantage. He's been playing this 1v1 extremely well, but Nemesis pushed in that last wave, got a free recall in, won't be forced to expend his teleport, and you would imagine that Caps is going to look to do the same thing very soon. He's going to push this wave in and then look for a reset, and ideally he doesn't want to spend that TP, but depending on how fast Nemesis can clear that wave, could also be a window for Fnatic to look for a play. So Caps is on the recall. This is kind of where we look at positioning of the other players. Is there an opportunity somewhere? And it looks like for now, Nemesis is actually just going to set up a freeze so that he can claw back some of that CS deficit.
I absolutely love seeing how G2 are playing that, and also the possibility that they could move to those other lanes. When we were preparing for the final and looking at our stats, G2 as a team spent less time in their lanes than every other team. They do like to move around. Caps in particular as a mid lane is very strong at that. While that's going on, by the way, down this bottom lane, Perkz and Mikyx shoving forward. Look at Rekkles sitting on that coal. Big indication as to what his expectations for this laning phase are going to be.
Yeah, I think as soon as you see a Senna Braum, you have to misplay a little bit in that lane to actually get big chunks of HP taken against you. So Rekkles probably telling Hylissang, don't go in for the trades. We're just going to farm this one up. It's going to be okay. Level 6 will come soon enough, and then we can go mid lane and look to punish the Caps.
Okay, thank you, observers, for highlighting that. So this is quite surprising that Caps would actually invest his TP. If we can have a quick pan over to the mid lane and have a look at the wave state, you'll notice that Selfmade right now is looking for a potential play. We'll spot out Caps, so nothing going to happen. So I think Caps was concerned because the wave was frozen. If he doesn't invest his teleport there, then it gets a bit of awkward for him, so he wants to get back to lane as quickly as possible so that he can maintain. You'll notice this wave is stacking, and he has a CS advantage already, so this level 6 is going to come through very soon for Caps, and that's where he's going to start looking for plays.
Yeah, Caps basically, he because Nemesis got that free recall off, it all went into that cascade effect, and Jankos was still trying to finish full clearing his jungle. So the TP there will be a good play. Now Jankos loops around the side, but Nemesis low on mana isn't going to overextend there. But Caps has the option to set up now his own freeze. But of course, Nemesis, who held onto the teleport, managing his wave very nicely, is not going to lose much from this.
Yeah, the Nemesis was able to hit 6 just a moment ago. Caps now does the same, and there comes Nemesis TPing into the mid lane. The thing that I'm very interested in is how this composition from G2 will play out. Vedius, you were talking about some of the options they could have gone with, and as the Ornn was available and not picked, they went to the Gnar instead. The feelings of that 1-3-1 definitely ringing true in my eyes for now. And look at this Wunder, 58 CS to 44. Fairly sizable advantage in that top lane already, as I think you would expect, because of the mini Gnar ranged form early on. He's already going to start TPing down. Here comes the play. That's a flash from Rekkles already. Very good dredge line from Hilly, but will he get out with his life? Flash still available to him. Will get rooted down, 200 HP, and Hilly gets taken out for first blood.
The chain CC is just ruthless right there, and Wunder with a nice teleport down. The team identified that window. He didn't even have Gnar up. He just knew all he needed was there to be there for a little bit of extra damage to make it so that Fnatic couldn't turn for the 2v.
How fair is it? Because I hear this voice in my head saying you have to misplay that lane against a Senna.
No.
Look, that looked beautiful from G2, but Rekkles and Hilly, were they overextended? That's the question.
They weren't. The wave was bouncing back. They had to manage it. They had to push that one out. In an ideal world, they would have wanted Selfmade there to help walk that in, and it was just a well-placed deep board where G2 were able to get a good punish. So I don't think that was Fnatic's bot lane. Yeah, that's fine. But I'm like, nope, no flame to the Fnatic bot lane there. I definitely think that was just a well-executed bot lane play from G2.
And I think the bigger point there is that Bwipo, playing this lane and playing fairly passively, not taking aggressive trades, was falling behind in HP. So he had to go for a very early teleport, whereas Wunder held on to his. And this is something that G2 are excellent at using. They're excellent at working with small advantages in their lanes to turn it into a lead for another player. And a lot of that time will come
now, this might be Hylissang's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, he will be able to get out with his life for now. Ashe will be eaten up by the Unbreakable. Another root lands into Mikyx.
6.
Yeah, comes Selfmade. The onslaught goes forward. We'll get so much damage done with the rampage as well. Mikyx stays alive thanks to the heal. He gets out thanks to the heal. It will finally go down just a moment later. Now all of a sudden, Hylissang gets the dredge line back in. Defensive flash from Jankos. He escapes with his life. Hilly will bounce away, and the Swell Seed won't be able to take him out. Fnatic find 2.
So close right there. Fnatic punishing, right? It looks like Hylissang was a little bit out of position, but Fnatic as a team were on the hunt, and that's a level 6 Hecarim charging straight into the bot lane, and Selfmade makes it work.
Really good punish from Fnatic. Looks like that they've come to play here in game 1. Both teams pretty even, with Fnatic having a slight edge. Good guy Jankos freezing the wave in the bot side of the map so that the G2 duo can get some farm back.
Selfmade would have farmed that way.
Yes, he would have. Now let's have a look at Hylissang here. So the problem for Hylissang is his jungler, while being on the bot side of the map, is not very close to him, and his AD carry isn't near either. His goal here is just to interrupt Perkz, which I think is fair enough to do, but then he realizes, okay, I may have overcommitted. Lillia is on the way as well, and you'll see this is where the collapse starts to come through from G2, but then a good arrow from Rekkles buys enough time, along with the follow-up chain CC, to allow Selfmade to roam down. Orianna's already moving, and Bob's your uncle. Meanwhile, on the top lane...
Well, the knock comes up from Wunder. Bwipo goes very low. There's the hop and the boomerang blade solo kill on the cards. And Wunder picks it up, making it look easy.
Man, Bwipo Rengar, like, I understand the idea, and like, it's supposed to be a really lane dominant pick against a squishy Gnar. It can be very effective, but you can't afford to be making mistakes like that, especially in the 1v1.
Yeah, but I remember talking about Bwipo's Rengar, you know, back a long time ago when he was picking it regularly, and it worked when you picked aggressive junglers next to it. That enabled him to take aggressive trades, to always be able to back him up so that a Gnar can't just chase you down with the consecutive slows. But here that is not the case, even with a lot of Fnatic players around the top side of the map. Still, Herald did go to Self.
It did indeed. Fnatic are nearly 1,000 gold down, but it is a good sign for G2 fans out there. Wunder 2-0 on the Gnar. That color's getting close to proccing, and Wunder's starting to find his feet again. You know, Bwipo and Wunder looked good last weekend. It was a bold call to run the Rengar into the Gnar. It's not paying off yet. But let's see if it works out, because if memory serves, Vedius, that game against SK also didn't start particularly well for Bwipo and came back later. Right?
I mean, it's the Rengar pick is one of those champions that later on into the game, when paired with an Ashe arrow, it can be great for finding picks, catching people off guard. One of my big concerns for Rengar is, number one, he's playing against a Braum with Exhaust. Exhaust always makes Assassin's life difficult. When you contrast that to Fnatic, who's playing against Akali, no Exhaust, Akali's like, okay, I kind of have free reign over everyone. I only have to be careful of the Nautilus. On top of that, there's the potential Jankos sleep. There's the potential if Wunder's in Gnar form. There's the Shroud. There's so many things that I think can make this Rengar's life difficult. I think the whole goal here was to get lane dominance. And so far, Bwipo has not been able to do that.
You know, it is interesting when you talk about G2's composition with all the CC they have, but here's Hylissang in the bot lane.
No support there. There's the Ashe arrow as well, and Wunder may just be able to Gnar out and does not. Second kill secured by Hylissang with the help of Bwipo and Rekkles.
That's just a really nice play from Fnatic, and you can continue to expect much more of this because of the engage options they do have, engaging from super long range. Meanwhile, G2 trying to play around mid, and they're not going to land the sleep. This is what G2 love to do so often, but without the hard, engaged champions in jungle and support, it's not easy.
They did get the flash, though, from Nemesis. The cost will be Selfmade and Fnatic picking up the first dragon of the game a little after 11 minutes. And that Herald, by the way, still sitting in Selfmade's back pocket, while Perkz is now swapped up to the top lane.
You can just head straight to bot lane right now, though. Drop that down for Rekkles, funnel more gold into him. They're going to likely secure this tower and have a big advantage in terms of map movements. And I think that Fnatic were pretty intelligent with what they did in the early game. They did a very early swap up towards the Herald. They didn't even play for the first Drake. Then when they came back down after immediately getting the Herald, they caught Wunder off guard and they were able to punish him, and now they're going to balloon this gold lead even more, and a lot of that's going to go into the back pocket of Rekkles, who now has a 1k gold advantage over his lane counterpart. So Fnatic definitely going toe-to-toe in this early game, have a pretty healthy gold lead 12 minutes in.
It's a little bit surprising because when I was coming into the series, I was expecting G2 would be the team that's a little bit more adept at playing the map and getting advantages through, priority and executing into separate lanes. But I feel like Fnatic has been doing that better than G2 in the early game, and a little bit of that actually has come through Nemesis, even though he hasn't participated in a lot of these kills in mid lane with the early control over the lane states. He's actually been the first to be able to move down into these bot side plays, which has enabled Fnatic the freedom to actually execute on.
Well, we just have a brief minute reminder that the winner of this game advances to the Championship Series next Sunday. The loser will play on Saturday's series against either Mad or Rogue. And when you think of these two teams, they've both been in a final for every final that has existed. Look at the screen at the bottom. Either Fnatic or G2, the level of dominance these two organizations have had is mind-boggling. I came into today expecting a G2 3-0. I am so happy to see what Fnatic are already doing in-game, because Fnatic have not picked up a single win against G2 all year long. They're 0-7 down.
Yeah, scriptwriters keeping it interesting this time around, seeing what happens. I think that it kind of goes to show that I was talking to Caedrel about this the other day. The number of players and teams... Oh, hang on a second.
That's a lot of damage, waiting for the roar and the savagery. Not going to get the kill, but that highlights what Bwipo wants to do.
I mean, yeah, it showcases some of the power that Rengar does have, and I did have a point that I might not get to as Fnatic looks for a dive in top lane.
All right, ECA. Where's the enchanted crystal arrow from Rekkles? He's holding on to the trigger. Jankos could be the next target as Caps is already down. Instant arrow after the TP from Wunder. That's a second kill for Fnatic. Now Hylissang goes golden thanks to the stopwatch. He's going to get rooted in place. Good damage down coming from G2, but they've got to back away. The Swirl Seed will not find a target, and Fnatic get the second tower.
This is exactly what we want to keep seeing from Fnatic. They're working as a team, teaming up Hylissang and Selfmade Nemesis, moving in these death balls to find dives in the side lanes. And G2's comp, right, we said it, Gnar, Akali, you want to play in the sides, you want to be able to spread out. Well, that is not going to work when Fnatic attack this coordinator.
I'm surprised that Caps continued to stay here. I thought that he would disengage much earlier on, but he didn't have his W available because he used it earlier on. Then a great set of chain CC. We saw this in the bot lane. We're seeing it again. Wunder doesn't get to use the Mega Gnar ultimate, which is so game-changing because in this 3 versus 5, G2 just don't have the damage to commit to the fight, which means that Fnatic walk away with 2 easy kills in a tower.
During the draft, Vedius and Ender, you both said that there's so many initiation tools on the side of Fnatic. They're using them and they're utilizing them well. And whenever you've looked at any sort of poke comp or 1-3-1 comp, if they never get the chance to set up and actually play the lanes, that's how you can bully them. Fnatic are in exceptional position. Nearly 3k up, 3 kills up, and the Dragon in 15 minutes.
And the weakness that I'm seeing from G2's draft playing into Fnatic is, yes, they have some CC tools to play back, but it's all condition-based, right? Gnar's ultimate, he has to be in Mega. Lillia has to hit you with an ability first before she can proc the sleep. Even Braum CC needs 3 more auto attacks on before it can actually apply, so you have a lot of time to get into the backline if you are Fnatic and just set up to instantly blow someone up before you get locked down.
Now I imagine Fnatic's next game plan is to look for that Rift Herald or for the next Cloud Drake. They kind of have a lot of options here, given that they are in a stronger position. First items have already come through. Trinity Force already finished for Selfmade is so powerful, but they can also concede it. Losing the second Rift Herald is not the end of the world. They know that they're 2 towers up, and playing for Cloud Soul, oh, not Cloud Soul, sorry, playing for the Dragon Soul is much more valuable in their eyes. So that's going to be the priority, and I think this is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think when you already have a composition that's built around A, team fighting, that means playing for the Dragon Soul going to be absolutely massive. but also their engage options are highly tethered to their ultimate cooldown, so having Ashe being able to come out more frequently is going to mean more time of threat on G2 where they have to worry about the engage.
I would also say that Riftchild may have had a higher priority if G2's wave clear was higher, but it's actually very low. When you have Akali, when you have the Senna, and you have the Gnar, it's very easy for Fnatic to just do this and take what they want.
Look at all the initiation. Even though the arrow doesn't land, Perkz is forced to use the flash to get away. Now he does. Selfmade is in trouble. Flash forward from Caps, gets the kill before he's taken down. Here comes Jankos and Mikyx, but the backup is already in place from Nemesis. Where's the shockwave? Not going to be flashed away from as Mikyx escapes with his life. It's a 1-for-1, but a melee in the mid lane.
Yeah, Fnatic get a little ambitious there, Selfmade going underneath the tower, but it is always Fnatic playing on a numbers advantage and around this middle lane while Wunder was stranded down bot side. So I really like how they are moving around the map, and even the little things too, where Nemesis after the fight walks in, steals away the enemy Raptor camp. It's all these little tiny advantages that are building up now for Fnatic into a sizable lead.
And what a fantastic performance so far between Selfmade and the bottom lane, working with them, working with the initiation tools. Hylissang 2-1 and 3, Selfmade 1-1-4. Hilly forced a Hex Flash over the wall, Rekkles flashed as well. There goes the Curse of the Black Mist, Dredgeline finds a target, Caps coming over the wall. No perfect execution available, but he may not need it, as the thrill of the hunt has been popped. Bwipo's looking for a target, and Fnatic have been pushed away from the Dragon Pit. G2 get control.
So the one combo we didn't talk about was the Rengar Orianna combo. Obviously, Fnatic have a lot of dive, but that shockwave can literally come out of nowhere. And I think it's something that G2 have to respect. But I think props to G2 as they were able to find that Drake and delay this potential soul. Gives them more time, gives them more opportunities for their solo laners to be able to ramp up and be more of a threat. But I will say, I think this Rengar is going to be a lot more problematic in the side lane than perhaps G2 expect as they look to try and shut down Bwipo.
There's the hop. A Boomerang Blade won't find a target. Damage from Bwipo is pretty good, and Jankos still waiting for an opportunity to get involved. That's a flash away. No, the hop away from Bwipo. He's using these bushes fantastically, and that passive will eventually get run down, but how much damage can he do? That's a fairly healthy chunk against a 1v2.
Yeah, Fnatic do have 4 people in mid lane, so I think they should be able to trade this mid tower for it, but one of the first cracks I feel like I've seen from Fnatic playing the map where Bwipo is down bot side without a lot of coverage while his team was not in a position to be able to respond. Still, Fnatic are going to be very happy with this trade.
Yeah, I call that hashtag worth. I think ultimately Bwipo didn't need to die there, but arrow now coming down bot. Look, Nautilus on the way as well.
Oh, so close!
That's a butt clencher. Wow, that was
so
close.
Wunder
just barely escaping with his life. Looks like G2 will secure their first tower of the game. But Fnatic, I will say, overall, looking good right now. Sitting with a 3k gold lead. They're looking for another play mid.
They are indeed. Perkz, remember, lost his flash just a few moments ago. Mikyx cannot peel and save him. Now he's the target. The Unbreakable will get hammered on by the Rangers' focus, and Rekkles picks up his second kill of the game. Fnatic are opening the series with a statement.
Fnatic absolutely on form here, and right there, Selfmade. We talked about it. He's hit the item spikes. He's on the Hecarim. He does so much damage, and Fnatic continue to abuse G2 with the effective range of their composition. A Hecarim can get on you so quickly from inside the river. They had a ward to be able to spot out Perkz there, and they charge him down and finish him off. And now, as more and more towers fall around the map, this is only going to become more and more concerning for G2.
I think that right now, Fnatic have good scaling options. They have a number of ways to start a fight. I think the fact that they lost that second Drake was pretty unfortunate for them, but at the same time, they're in a great position to contest the next one. And I think right now, if you're looking at G2, you're kind of like, all right, Caps, if you're going to show up, now would be a great time. I think that Caps' Akali is something that you always have to be afraid of. He can change fights single-handedly with the champions like this with the amount of agency that he has. But when you look at things holistically, I think the Fnatic also have a great way to shut him down. So I think this is going to be a tough uphill battle from this point forward for G2.
It definitely is. I think it's worth pointing out some of the interactions that G2 have, but before then, Bwipo is hovering around the top side of the map. Doesn't have his team with him, so I don't think he's going to commit there with the ultimate, just clears away the minions. But one thing that I do really like with G2's comp is how sort of the sleeps can come in. The Senna has this long-range pokes. There's a lot of tools to put people to sleep so Caps can get in position for the attack, and then Senna to finish them off from long range. And it's those types of backline dive plays that I think G2 need to pull off in order to come out with this fight.
It doesn't feel like they've had the opportunity, though. Fnatic seem to be dictating the pace of the game. You know, 4 towers to now 2, as Caps was able to pick up the top lane outer. But But every time there was an opportunity, and I think you said it during draft as well, that the tower dive potential from Fnatic is strong, and they've shown a willingness and an ability to execute on it.
And now I feel like Fnatic are itemizing perfectly for the challenges that will be thrown their way with an Akali trying to dive into their backline, because Rekkles has the QSS to completely negate the sleep coming in from Jankos. That sleep is so meaningful because it gives an Akali time to position and dive onto into the backside. And Nemesis also went for the Seraph's Embrace right off the bat. So that bonus shield on top of some extra MR and the HP is getting from Leandries is going to make it much harder for G2 strikes to actually hit true.
Man, how confusing is it to see Fnatic playing this game after the split that we've had and all the question marks raised about the individuals?
That's the problem is, Trevor, you're right, and I'm sitting here being like, Fnatic's looking great, they have a gold lead, everything's in their favor, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, but I've seen Caps do this before, and I'm just keeping my eyes on him because I'm like, yeah, this looks great. This is exactly what Fnatic fans want. I made a tweet earlier where it was kind of sad because I saw a lot of Fnatic fans just being like, okay, listen, we know you're gonna lose, could you at least take a game? And I was just like, come on, like, you've got to be a little bit more optimistic. I feel like Fnatic looked really good against Rogue. They've clearly found their identity. I think in game one, they're definitely looking strong against G2. Right now, they're definitely in a much more favorable position. They're setting up for the Inferno. The question is, can G2 do G2 things and find a way to claw the goal back?
How good is Fnatic set up for the Inferno right now? I can see some deep vision and the pushing wave.
Yeah, it's too good. I don't think G2 can realistically contest it. What I think G2 want to do is steal all these topside camps and potentially get a tower, and that's why Fnatic are now charging at Jankos.
Okay, Jankos has already used that flash. The Ashe arrow comes through as well. There's a follow-up teleport coming from Fnatic now to fight on multiple fronts. Jankos is already down. The Onslaught of Shadows comes up. That buys so much time as Caps is fleeing and afraid and terrified. He's forced to dash over the wall to safety to escape for his life.
Wunder!
The Gnar into the wall! Wunder finds the double stun, but he's shut down. Rekkles gets another. Dredge line onto Mikyx. He goes down as well.
What a beautiful bait switch. Now Bwipo's in here. He's charging down Perkz. He'll go down. Caps executes to the Baron. It's an ace for Fnatic, and they have broken open game one.
Sorry, I completely missed the setup for Baron. I didn't realize that's what Fnatic was going for. They find an opportunity and punish.
It was just a genius play because everyone is looking at the map and Fnatic have full control over the Dragon. So G2 aren't going to fight it. G2 are a team that loves to trade you on the other side of the map, so they go topside. So Fnatic put Bwipo to solo out the Dragon while the rest of Fnatic charges at Jankos, who they just spotted on this ward.
And it's exactly as you say. Jankos thinks that he's safe in the top side of the map, whereas Fnatic is saying, hey, we can start this fight off. Look, Bwipo is soloing the Drake and they've caught Jankos out. The pick potential of this comp is so powerful, and Lillia is very squishy. Really well played by Hylissang, just locking down Caps for as long as possible. It means the Rekkles is completely safe. He doesn't even take damage in this fight, except from the red buff. Red buff did more to him than Caps was able to. Beautifully peeled by Hylissang, and then Wunder, he thinks he lands a two-man ulti, but it's not enough damage.
Who hits the Baron? Who hits the Baron and kills Caps? That's what I want to know. Is it Rekkles just over the wall?
Oh, it has to be, yeah, he gets vision of him.
And then he W's Baron, misses Caps, but it still kills him.
It is an execute, but he takes that. The happy B comes through from Rekkles, and Fnatic secure the Baron.
As Fnatic fans have said before, we take those, I believe.
Dude, that was not a take those. They smashed G2 right there.
Fantastic game so far for Hylissang. Hylissang has been one of the most criticized members of the Fnatic squad after he, conceded first blood in that bottom lane. The turnaround from then on, Fnatic, 8k gold up, 2 dragons to 1. They've got Baron buff as well, 12 kills to 4. It's all gone right at the start of the series.
It's the level of cohesion from Fnatic that are making them look like a legitimate contender here. Everyone on the same page going for these fights and using the information they're given, where they saw Perkz farming mid, they saw Wunder farming the bottom lane. Yeah, they only had 4 people in the topside jungle, but they were always going to outnumber G2, and this is a Fnatic that is looking fierce.
Now, there is one thing I do want to call out. Once I saw Wunder jump in and get that double Gnar into the wall, that was a flavor of what Vedius and I have been sort of talking a little bit about with the Akali, the Gnar, the options. I think it's significantly more difficult now for G2 to have those monumental moments when you're down this much gold and you're losing this much map control.
So I think, like, when we look at the game holistically, one of the biggest things for me and where G2 finds so much success is early game agency, early game playmaking. And when you put the bot lane in a neutral situation like this, where it just becomes a farm fiesta, I think that Fnatic is in their element. And the way in which they move Rekkles and Hylissang around the map in the early game, playing for the early Herald, swapping back to bot, finding the picks that they did, I think just kind of put them ahead just a little bit, and then they've never really let control of the game. G2 have not been able to get caps online. G2 has never been able to find a successful fight, and Fnatic have just kind of had G2's number at every step and opportune.
I feel like G2 have to be questioning, you know, maybe the Braum pick for Mikyx not being able to play hard through mid lane. That was such a focal point for them during the regular season, because when G2 played the early game sort of quiet, you know, just trying to, the one TP play into the bot lane, that was pretty much all they had was Wunder making things happen. That's not the G2 that's going to go out there and win championships. You need the rest of the team to be on the same page and able to come up in the clutch situations.
Let's see what G2 do now. Down 10k. Remember, they had side selection this game. They elected blue side. And their strategy thus far has been countered. Fnatic, a minute to go until the next dragon is available. They're pushing some vision, setting up some wards. And you can see the level progression on the side of your screen. Nemesis, 16. Selfmade, 15. Bwipo playing catch-up as well. But the game really has been about Selfmade in the bottom lane, how they've been able to use their initiation tools and just force G2, force the errors and take the advantage. And right now, Vision game, it feels very much like they're playing for their dragon, Vedius.
Looks like it. And Fnatic, again, they don't have to rush anything. Of course, the Baron has one off, but they've been able to break all the tier 2 towers. They'll likely just wait for the next big Baron play, and then, you know, they can look to end the game. I think the fact that they have 3 items on Ashe, 3 items on Orianna.
On everyone.
On everyone, like, you know, it's, yeah, Fnatic looking good. It would be surprising if Fnatic lost this game.
Mind-boggling,
yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, and again, I can't give enough credit to, like, how well how Fnatic have used their bot lane in the map. And, like, yes, the Rengar is very likely going to win game 1. I'm still not bought into the Rengar hype.
The saltiness. I love it. I love it.
Uh-oh, here's Caps.
All right, let's see what happens. Yeah, still going to have that Shroud available. It goes down, caught by the Dredge line. Ignite starts to tick. Shockwave was used. I think that only caught Mikyx, though. Now the Ashe arrow comes out, tags him once again. Volley as well as one more command attack from Nemesis. Means Mikyx gives his life to save Caps with Infernal up and now a 5v4. Looks like they can either push the base or peel back.
Yeah, that's the Rabadon's completed there for Nemesis, absolutely shredding through. It's a really weird fight because neither jungler was involved in that at all. It was just a 4 versus 4, but meanwhile, Selfmade went into mid lane. Now we have a TP behind us, the last ditch effort, G2.
It absolutely is. Here comes Caps. Selfmade is waiting in the wings. Dredge line from Mikyx. He's buying so much time. Bwipo is going low and he's taken out and down. Now Caps jumping into the back line, looking for Rekkles. Gets the kill onto Rekkles, but how much more can he do? Selfmade is rampaging across Caps' face, takes him down. Perkz running for his life. It's a 2 for 4 in favor of Fnatic.
It was a fight that could have gone in G2's favor, but again, Hylissang comes up clutch. Selfmade now running through the rest of G2, looking for a potential penta, but Perkz is going to deny it.
Definitely the case. Shockwave gets pulled backwards. There's the shutdown. Perkz gets the kill. Hilly flashes forward. Manages to get the kill with the Dredge line as well as one more boop to the head. Mikyx running for his life. The inhibitor will go down. Fnatic have broken the base in a slightly scrappy exchange. They're still in massive control.
So props to Perkz getting that kill onto Nemesis. I think that saved the game for now for G2, but I have to give so much props to Hylissang. If we get a replay of that last fight, I want to highlight what he was doing, because his goal in every fight is like, hello Caps, you will not be playing League of Legends today. And it's just CC after CC after CC, and now it could be some more supportal combat.
No.
Dredge line into the passive, and Selfmade comes in with the rampage and the devastating charge as well. Yet another kill, 7-1-7. While Hilly is starting things off, they are being finished by Selfmade and Rekkles. And this was the Selfmade that was promised to Fnatic so long ago.
Yeah, Selfmade absolutely running circles around G2 right now. G2, they try to start this one off with a TP into the backline. Jankos does land a double sleep, but Perkz not right here off the bat. And I feel like the damage is going to be lacking, especially on Selfmade.
But look at Caps. Like, if he was in that fight initially, this could have gone so well for G2, but Hylissang does such a great job stopping him, and it also forces Caps to use his Shroud very early. So while he does get this initial kill, it's this situation where he would have loved to have it, and then the outplay could be real, but it doesn't happen, again, because of Hylissang. So huge props to him and the fact that Fnatic were able to turn up.
And I missed it during the first fight, but Hilly even turned to Wunder and gave him the auto on the head to root him, while simultaneously tracking Caps the entire time. 3-1-9, 11k gold up, Supers in the bottom lane, one dragon away from Soul. And it looks like Baron will be the focus for now. It does not look like G2 can contest.
No, they definitely cannot. They're locked inside their base. They already lost the inhibitor. Selfmade feeling himself, by the way, working on a Youmu's to get into the back line, wreak even more havoc. onto Perkz, but this is looking like the final charge forward for Fnatic with this Baron to finish off game 1.
Should also highlight that Selfmade has been involved in 14 of the 18 kills that Fnatic have found themselves, so pretty impressive stuff from him and the entire Fnatic squad. They're looking to end things right here, right now, as G2, their last-ditch defense at the base.
Well, Enchanted Crystal arrows available, the depth charge is available. I'm just waiting to see who Fnatic want to kill. Because based on how the previous 30 minutes of gameplay have gone, Fnatic just pull the trigger at some point, Vedius.
They can take their time though, they still got 2.5 minutes on the Baron.
Look at the double cannons just completely destroying the tower. They didn't even auto at once.
Sleep comes through, here we go.
Church line defensively there from Hilly, pulls himself to the ruins of that inner turret. Caps, the threat of Caps on the side, force Fnatic to back away. They've broken open the top tower, turned their attention to middle. That's Mega Gnar now, that once that time's out, you have to feel, Fnatic will feel more emboldened.
Yeah, I mean, Mega Gnar's gone, Lillia Sleep gone, they have no CC left. How do G2 start a fight?
Wow, they absolutely cannot. Bwipo's on the Nexus turret already, depth charge goes out. Caps is being forced away by Selfmade. Dashes over the wall, perfect execution available to him while that's going on. The Nexus turret remains stalled. Rekkles gets the Enchanted Crystal arrow hit onto his former teammates, and Selfmade looking to finish it out. Super minions are trying to push forward, and finally Rekkles gets a kill onto Caps. 50-second death timer. Bwipo inside the base, getting caught up by the damage from Lillia. Those blooming blows doing work on the back line. Hylissang sets it up for Nemesis. He's 2-1-7 for now. The Nexus turret will fall. Turn their attention to the Nexus. And Fnatic have been unable to take down G2 all year long. For the first time in 2020, Fnatic defeats G2.
And they do it with an absolute statement in game 1 as well. They came in with a cohesive plan. They looked even more together on the Rift. Selfmade might be on the other side of the desk in the room, but he was playing right next to Hylissang the entire game.
Yeah, he certainly was. Huge props to jungle support right there for Fnatic. I think that they're coming up clutch once again. We saw them perform extremely well versus Rogue. I think they're doing it once more, and now the ball kind of falls in G2's court. What are we going to see from G2? How do they adapt? Of course, it's only the first game in a best-of series. Fnatic has been 2-0 up against G2, and G2 has still been able to come back. You know that if Fnatic get game 1, we're going to have one hell of a series.
Yes, yes, yes. After the break, Analyst will tell you more about how Fnatic picked up that win, including a special look at Hylissang's Nautilus.
I think this patch was a bit rougher for us, but we picked it up now. That's like our biggest strength, I think, like the adaptability. I can already like taste the feeling of like being in finals and like playing against G2, probably having another rematch. But I think like outside of G2, I think like Rogue and Schalke should be the next best teams.
Will the sleep come in? It does, and Roman, they don't know he's here. Triple sleep, massive ulti across the entire time, but no, still Uruwami doing so much damage, still trying to find a way out. Gilly is simply next on the list. No! Not like this. The triple Abadage wants to turn it, but it's not going to happen. Oh, I love it! Special, the kind of rush onto the face breaker. Rekkles going to be the first target here as he goes down.
And winning the LEC would be really cool to stop the G2 and Fnatic dynasty. And I think we have a really good shot at winning LEC. So I really hope we can take the chance and actually win it, because I think we can do it.
Charged up. Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Just like a razor, murked up in this world, my blazer. I got all the boys on me, I got all the lines on ring. Knocking dead, turning heads, I got all the eyes on me. Pretty face, 걸어 들어와, 유행선 두자. 원하지만 못하잖아, 애가 타잖아. You like roll, Kali, you don't go. 난 알지, I know. 준비해, cause I like the ball. 멈추지 않아, 나는 내 그게 like a bag. 그거 말고 bye, 믿어봐. 그만큼 크게 어깨 펴고 high. 100% 덤비지 못해. 죽여주잖아 나는 boss 간지 with the sauce 원하면 줄게 I'm doing damage when just how I planned it I do what I want when I say 모든 날 따라해 난 끝내주잖아 To live on the edge of insane Coming at you up Real, real world Here to light it up Set the world on fire Gonna break rules and hearts and tools Cause that's what the baddies do I never going back None of that Diamonds on drip Cause I came to make a splash Gonna break rules and hearts and tools Cause that's what the baddies do It's crazy Sorry for the bad news Sorry I'm so bad Only took a minute for me to hear what you had Sorry for the bad news No it makes it sad There for a minute baby you should pack your bags Way that I look should be breaking the law If I don't got it I take what I want My circle small like a round of applause You know that I love the sound of applause You know I mean everything that I say Would you see me come and get out of the way I can just lay, back and I'm better and ready to stay I'm doing damage when just how I planned it I do what I want when I say 모든 날 따라해 난 끝내주잖아 To live on the edge of insane It's crazy Sorry not sorry for being the best 언제든지 내가 좀 mess Look at the gold all on my chest Look at the gold call it a flex
Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC Summer Playoffs. Fnatic just secured their first win over G2 in 2020. And how? Let's take a look at the picks and bans. Caedrel opened this up for me in terms of Fnatic. A lot of what we've gotten used to, a very strong pick for Selfmade.
Yeah, Hecarim. It's been banned out a lot yesterday. You saw in the Mad Line series. I think it's something that Sjokz was running, the Hecarim Orianna. It's got such good engage, such good like pick potential at level 6, and I really like their draft overall. I think that when they first picked Senna to kind of handshake on the Senna Ashe trade, you can see they went for a Braum into Nautilus. Now, I guess the bot matchup is kind of fine, but the whole team comp from G2 just has no engage in general. I think the only way you can start a fight really is with sort of a Gnar TP flank with Mega Gnar, but even then you can't really guarantee on that being reliable. Whereas Fnatic, they have like they have Hecarim, they have Hylissang on the Nautilus, they have the Ashe Arrow, they have the Bwipo Rengar ult with the Orianna ball. They have so many tools to just get on you.
And when you look at the success of either of these teams, it's often about either the jungler or the support making big plays. And in this case, this jungle and support on the side of Fnatic have a lot of agency. Now, Selfmade is, of course, enabled by his team on this Hecarim initially before he carries it through. But on the side of G2, there's no one to really get the party started, and that sucks. Now, of course, you did see the Wunder Gnar have a few moments where he could find those big engages, use that ultimate, but that's a rage bar. Fnatic knows that's coming. It's not reliable. It's not consistent. And so G2, while this comp could have won, they definitely made it very hard on themselves.
They did, and when you talk about agency, one person we want to talk about actually for the entirety of this segment is Hylissang. We brought it up in Ready Check as people say he is coin flip, but he always has a vision in mind. And Caedrel, that's how you want to look at these next few replays.
Yeah, you can see here he just walks into Fog of War. No matter if he dies here, he just wants to stop Perkz' base because right now the Herald is spawning in about 30 seconds if you look at the minimap, and bot wave's actually frozen for Fnatic. So if G2 get a base off here, they can just run straight topside. But what Hylissang does here is he wants to start a fight, he wants to stop Perkz' base, and he wants to keep them under the wave.
And as we start the replay again, you can see the fight actually in the end goes pretty even, working out in, again, Fnatic's favor. But it's, as you said, this single play that pretty much forces G2 to fight. And it's not just because of a pick here, but as you said, if they let Fnatic get away with this, it's hugely favorable. Now, good heads-up movement coming in from Nemesis and Selfmade make sure that Fnatic can turn this one back around. And additionally, Braum, Senna on their own, not really a threat in any kind of burst exchange. So for Fnatic, this feels like Hylissang making a call and the entire team following, which is a massive shift from what we saw a few weeks ago.
Yeah, they're just playing so well around their mid-jungle level 6 spikes. Like I said in the draft, I think they played it so good. Like, they had one wave of prio, Hylissang goes and stops the bases, and the whole idea of this play is just a domino effect. Like, Hylissang stops the bases, then Fnatic pushes out the bot wave. They go for a full swap to Herald, which leads to them getting the Herald, which leads to the jungle and AD carry on Fnatic to be 1k gold up at like 15 minutes, which leads to a top fight. So this whole play kind of unlocks Fnatic's bot lane and moving around the map, taking over the map, getting mid-prio past 15 minutes, getting Heralds, getting Drakes, and just unlocking the entire game.
Yeah, thank you for breaking that down, because it might go unnoticed and you think, oh, is this just a random Hilly being in the wrong place at the right time? No, oftentimes there is a big plan behind it. And as you said, this cascading effect leads all the way into this favorable top lane fight from the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, I think that if Hylissang didn't stop those bases initially, then the game would look much different, because G2 would have been able to ones to get the Herald. G2 would have been the ones to be able to crack open the bot tower, but because they have their bot lane mid and their jungles ahead, they have first move from mid wave, and they instantly collapse on G2. The TPs come in. Jankos can't really fight this because Fnatic's comp at level 6 to level 10 is just so strong.
And you can see here as well one of the big issues with Gnar. Now in this case he's chain CC'd down, but even then Wunder's coming in with good rage management. 90 rage, that maybe is the potential for a turnaround, but even then it is not instantaneous. It can be shut down, it can be interrupted, and Fnatic just show us that they're not giving any room for G2 maneuver, and the fact that they're snowballing so confidently against G2 is just massive in a best-of-5 series.
Yeah, and Selfmade and Hylissang played so well. I think when Perkz and Mikyx tried to step up to push mid, even one Selfmade just went instantly on them. You saw when they tried to contest topside after Bwipo soloing Drake, Hylissang just instantly just flash hooks them. You know, they have so many tools of engage, and even in that top fight, they have so many ways of locking down champions, making sure they're on the right targets, and all of their damage is both single target and AoE.
And seem completely on the same page as well. A funny tweet came in from Upset after the game, talking about how Hilly decides where you're going to go on the map. You have to walk to your Nexus versus Hylissang. He won't allow you to base. He would rather die. I mean, that's exactly what I think when I see him play.
I mean, the whole idea of stopping the base is for tempo, and Hylissang's the tempo king. He's either freezing the waves in your face and making you kill him to make you base later, or he's just going to chase you to your Nexus when they have the freeze. So,
the Professor.
And the best, it's just always the best version of Fnatic is a Fnatic where Hylissang is popping off, and Hylissang popping off at the start of the series is going to demand some changes in pick bans, because there are those games where he goes too far, where you get an easy win because Hylissang's pushing a little bit too hard, but this is not one of those series, and this was not one of those games.
No, this was a fantastic game. Now, next game, of course, G2 gets the decision and is back on blue side. I want to think back of what Caedrel said in Reddit Check. You said, I'm going to predict 3-1 just because it could very well be that G2 drop the first game. Now, the way in which they dropped the first game, was this in line with your expectations as well? And what adaptations will we see?
I mean, I feel like G2 in game 1 and best of 5 is always sort of a loss most of the times, but I mean, I just don't like the draft in general. Lillia, Braum doesn't really work well together. If you're going to pick Braum, you want like a Sejuani or a Rek'Sai, something with actual that can help him proc his passive. And normally you see in regions like the LPL, if you're going to trade the Senna Ashe, obviously on blue side you get to choose a Senna, so G2 feel way more confident on the Senna. You basically trade Nautilus Leona most of the time, unless you want to go for something like a Tamkench, but I would rather see Mikyx on a playmaker like Leona or the Nautilus, so it's very smart by Fnatic to put it away. So I would like to see some adaptation in jungle bot side. I think the solo lane picks are fine overall. I just think that the jungle bot synergy is really not there.
And the big question for me is, are G2 willing to take the Ashe if it continues to not be favorable for them to take the Senna? We saw a game on it from Perkz. We were talking about it behind stage. You might remember it as the game where Alphari played Malphite and killed him just a million times. So has that improved? Is that something that G2 are comfortable playing around because it didn't look good the last time we saw it? Because if it's not, that is a big hole in their drafts.
We'll see what happens. Fnatic are looking to avenge the loss from Spring Finals, and so far, things are looking great. We'll be right back for Game 2.